Hey guys, welcome to Her Home and Harvest. My name is Alana, if you haven't been here before, and I just wanted to really quickly show you guys what I use for my irrigation system on my patio and my back hill. This is just a timer I got off Amazon, and it connects to a 1/4 inch drip line. So that is what I'm using on the patio. And then I just have a splitter here because I really like to still have access to a hose, and this is the only water supply for my backyard. So that's what we do. And then this drip line comes over to my patio garden. One tip that I got from someone, and it has really helped me, is to do your drip irrigation in a loop, so that essentially like this goes around and waters everything all around there, and then it comes back down and around through here, this one. And the point behind that is, for example, this one is coming out of here. If this ended right here, this little guy would be getting the very end of the water pressure, everything being watered from this line as it went farther and farther down would lose water pressure. And they said by creating a loop, it solved that problem. And I have seen that in my garden. That does seem to really help here. That's not how I have it set up on the back hill, but I'm not supplying the water with 1/4 inch tubing, so it's a little bit different there. But that's just a recommendation I would make, is to create a loop at some point. So I have the main line, the loop that's going all the way around, and then I have a little T connector, and then this goes up into the pot. And then I really like this kind where the stake is actually attached to the bubbler, because it makes your bubbler point the direction you want it to. If you get these these are adjustable. I can turn it right to lower the volume, turn it left to increase it. And I really like the stake because when you put it down here, the stake holds this upright. So I have it coming from the cucumber around. It's going up into every single pot. So back here I have a pot and I have no clue what I want to do with this. So for now I'm just going to turn this off. But if I decided to put 2 pots here, it's really easy to go in there and add another T connector. I would just cut the line right there, put in the T connector, bring up another one of these attached to a bubbler, and I could have 2 pots right here. So I just think it's really versatile and it's super easy to do on your own. It's a very DIY friendly way of doing your drip irrigation, and for me it's really simple. Alright, so this is where I get my water for my back hill. So these were already in place when we moved into the house. The first 3 of them actually water my lawn. This one waters just the bushes around the backyard, and then these 2 were hooked up to nothing when we got here. And so I've actually set it up now, so this is hooked up to a drip line going to my trees. I only turn this on honestly like once a week in the summer, and I sort of don't really turn it on too much in the winter. Our soil is pretty heavily clay soil, and so it holds a lot of moisture, and my trees seem very, very happy with the amount of water they're getting. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not going to mess with it. But this little guy I set up to do just the bottom of the hill, which is my vegetable garden. I am also planning on trying to grow some pumpkins and maybe some squash like up on the hill. And I think I'm going to connect it to this line as well. It'll have to go up the hill a bit, so I'm kind of interested to see how the water pressure will be. But I want it to be on the same schedule as everything along the bottom hill. So most of the time, if you're setting up a drip irrigation, you're not going to do it with an anti-siphon valve that was for your lawn, but if that's what you have, you can do it that way. So I'm going to bring you in and show you how I set this up. Here is the valve, and then down here I have connected, this is to filter any sediment so it doesn't back up into the valve, because that can happen a lot when you have a drip irrigation. Pretty much anything running along the line of the dirt or obviously underground. This is a weed, which we don't need. So I just have this running down. I have a little elbow connected, and then this got kind of buried. It's underneath the mulch, but you can kind of see it pop up there. It actually goes the full length of my hill. This pipe I have 1/4-inch tubing connected to, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to show you I have to make some changes because plants are in places they didn't used to be. For example, I didn't used to have anything planted right here, and now that I do, it'd be really great to connect into the tubing right there and just get probably, I don't know, 2 in this pot. Probably just 1 in this pot I think would be good enough. So I have this done a few different ways. Right here you could see I connected the 1/4-inch tubing here. I just popped that in, and then I put in a T-connector so that I could have one here and then go down the same line and have another one right here. I may come in and replace all of these bubblers with the ones that have the stake on them. But this has been working for now. What we're going to work on today for the irrigation is this whole section right here. I never grew anything, and so there's nothing connected. The tubing comes from all the way down there where the valves are to the end of my hill right at that wall. So you can see that there. And my mom gave me milkweed plants for my birthday, so I got a couple of those you're going to see sprinkled around here. But thankfully this comes far enough that I can actually just put a little bubbler there. My plan, I'm going to experiment, is to put a 1/4-inch tubing here and run it all the way up, not to this step, but actually up there. Oh, can you see that? Sorry. All the way up there, and plant a pumpkin. And we're going to see if I can train a pumpkin to kind of go down this hill. I've never done it before. We're going to see what happens. And then the drip irrigation for the fruit trees comes from there, and the tubing follows this part of the hill all the way to the end to the lemon down there. And then I'll get up close and I'll show you how I connected to it. On this tubing, I just have it staked in, and then along the tubing I connected a 1/4-inch drip line, and then this is going up. It's buried under the mulch, you can't really see it. It's going up to each of my trees. Because I did a 2-in-1 planting, what I did was, this goes all the way back here, and then it's buried, so let's see if we can see it, right here. I put in another T connector, and I have one going to the right and one going to the left. So the T connector is buried right here, and this line comes around, and then there's a little bubbler right here. And these are, I can't remember, these are not adjustable. I think they're 1/2 gallon bubblers, so they will drip a 1/2 gallon of water in an hour. So I have one next to each tree, and that one's kind of buried under the mulch. And I have that for every single one of my trees. I just want to show you guys the materials that I use. It's pretty simple. It can get a lot more complicated this, but for me, this is all I really need. The only thing that's not here is the T connectors, because I used them all. So we have the 1/4-inch tubing, and this is what I showed you I'm pretty much using everywhere. This is 1/4-inch soaker hose. I have used this in the past and not had much luck. This might have been something good for where all of those green onions seeded themselves, but we'll see if we have a use for this. It kind of can just soak a whole area as opposed to one specific spot, and sometimes that's helpful, but it hasn't been so far for me. This is your little bubbler. This is the one I was telling you guys that I really like, that has the stake in it. You just connect it right here. You just connect it right here, and then you just stake it in the ground right where you want it. And I found these very helpful. I'm probably going to use mostly these. If you were going to use one of these and attach it directly to this line, you would then take this and just hook it in, and that's how you would keep this where you want it. And then these are little end caps. They don't have a hole in them. They're just to plug up one of those lines if you want it to end. I haven't had to use them too much. This is just a little connector. So if you saw the 3/4-inch tubing I had running along my back hill, you would put this into the tubing, and then you would connect your 1/4" tubing there, and I'll show you how I do that. And then this is how you put the holes to connect these into that 3/4" tubing, and we'll go do that right now. So all you have to do is, just to make my life easy, if you leave these in the sun, they become really flexible, so that helps a lot when you're doing this. So the first thing you're going to do is connect it, the tubing, to your 1/4" connector, and then you're going to pop a hole into this using the tool right where you want it. I'm going to say around here. Sometimes it gives you a little more grief than you want. There it is. And pull that out. So now you've got a nice hole right there. And now I'm going to pop this in here. They usually just pop right in. And it is not going in there. Oh. There we go. It just hadn't popped the hole all the way through. So now that the hole went all the way through, this should be a lot easier. There we go. See, that was much more simple. Hopefully you won't have to fight yours. I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter. Any regular pair of scissors, nice sharp scissors, is fine. These are just the scissors I leave in my garden. Cut that piece off. And now I'm going to attach this little bubbler right here. And the one with a stake on it. I told you guys I was going to want to use these. And they're really easy to connect when it's warm. The colder it is, the harder it is. So that's already on there for me. And that's good. And then I'm just going to stake this in right there. All right, we'll do another one right here, and then I'm going to go do them all by myself. So let's see, I'll put it right about here. Let's see. Want to hear that pop. There we go, heard the pop. And let me go grab my connector and pop it in. There we go, a lot easier than last time. Measure how far I want it to go. It's right about here. So I'm going to cut this. Attach this. Find the base of the plant. Stick it down. I'm going to turn it all the way off. And then just loosen it a tiny bit. And I will come back and test all these when I'm done. Now I'm just going to get in here and set this whole thing up for the plants that I plan on doing this year. If there's an area that I'm not sure about, I'm either going to leave it blank, or if there's already drip irrigation there, I'm just going to turn all those bubblers off. That's the nice thing about the adjustable bubblers, is you can literally just turn them off. If you've got the ones like I do for the trees that are designed to only put out a certain amount, so half a gallon per hour, a gallon per hour, whatever it is, the only downside I've found with those is that you can't turn them off. So when I'm out here, I like to have a box of all of my supplies. So I've got the extra tubing, I've got all the little connectors, my scissors, whatever it is that I'm going to need, and I just carry that box with me as I go on. So yeah, all right, I got to get this done. All right, just to start, all of this is a future project, so just ignore the mess, and I'm just going to come turn all of these off. All right, so a couple things I wanted to say were, first, this is, I think I already said it once, this is just one in a million different ways of doing this. Some people use drip tape. Some people use drip line, where it's like that 1/4" tubing that has little holes going down it every 6 inches or so. They're spaced differently. That drip like that. There are, some people use sprinkler systems that are similar to how they do their lawns, where it just kind of like sprays up and over everything. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. This is just the way that I found easiest for me to do myself. I don't tend to get a lot of help with this. My husband has been going back and forth with working late night shifts, and so he's generally asleep during the day, so I try not to use his help if I don't need it. So he'll come in and help me I don't want to throw him under the bus or anything. Like, he helped me get those T-posts in for the cattle panel I have up there, you know, the things that are hard. But if I can avoid something being hard, I will. If I can do something on my own, I will. And this just seemed really easy for me. It's also really versatile. I can change it out every year like I'm doing now. I can add to it. I can move things around, and this has just worked really well for me. I had watched a bunch of different YouTube videos on irrigation, and I talked to a few local irrigation supply stores. I'm lucky enough that there actually are irrigation supply stores near me, and this just made the most sense. So if something else makes the most sense for you, like, go for it. My thing is I wanted something easy and I wanted something adjustable, and this fit both of those for me. Also, I wanted something affordable. I can't honestly tell you the breakdown of everything I spent to do the back hill because I did it, you know, piece by piece, but I can tell you I spent less than $50 to do the entire section for the back patio. I also wanted to say that I did the soaker hose on those potatoes, and I should have known better. It definitely is not going to work. I'm going to have to go back there and adjust, either like maybe poke some holes in that line so that it gets more water, or I'm just going to have to replace it because that soaker hose does not water as quickly as the rest of these bubblers do. And so typically I go out there and I turn this water on for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes if I know it's going to be really hot, but I try not to do more than 10 minutes. And that soaker hose just cannot saturate that area enough in 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to figure out something there. However, I did want to say that the drip line running up to the pumpkin worked wonderfully. The water pressure going up to that pumpkin is perfectly fine. So I'm very grateful that I won't have to climb up that hill to water that pumpkin. I also wanted to say that it is not really ideal to be putting in your drip line after your plants are already established like this. The problem with it, at least with the way that I'm doing it, is that those bubblers with the stakes on them have to be pushed into the ground pretty close to where the plant is. And if your plant already has a root system established there, you run the risk of damaging those roots and hurting your plant. So this isn't ideal, but it worked for me. All right, now that I finished everything, it's time to test it all. You probably see that in the background. Maybe not. I don't know. You'll see it right now. There it is. Always miss something. That's where those little plugs come in handy. I didn't have anything right there, and I don't plan on having anything right there, at least for a couple weeks, and so I was able to just stick one of those plugs in it for now. All right, so everything looks great now, except for there's one tomatillo plant where randomly I didn't connect to. So I'm going to make sure I go back and do that, but my time is up. I got to get back in with my daughter. So I hope this is helpful and interesting to see how I do my drip irrigation. I know there's a million and one ways to do it, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys do differently you think might help me out. If you have something, just leave it in the comments and I will be sure to read it and respond. And if you guys like this video and want to see more like it and what else I do in my garden, then click the subscribe button. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff, growing stuff, experimenting, and using stuff in the kitchen. And I'm out of breath. Yeah, if you guys liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.